Hi guys, so today we'll be going to do a US Civil War. So basically, one of these six alliances will win. So it could be the Pacific, the Green Alliance, the Atlantic, the Eastern, the Greater, or the Trans Alliance. So almost any one of them can win, but we do not know yet. So the first thing that happens is Eastern Alliance the Eastern Alliance will start to try and cut off Texas from the rest of the other, like the rest of the Greater Alliance. So they just start a movement up here, and about 30% of the supply lines have been cut right here. But here it is now where their advance has stopped, and the Texas army started to just like counter attack and just get it off, and started just to go towards this LA state. And they also even go towards this Minnesota and all. And the next thing that happens is the Pacific Alliance starts to make a move in towards the Green Alliance, which is this. As almost they can use their Pacific Navy, which California will get. California carries almost all of these states' navy, but yeah, they can also use their navy, but they're starting to use the land first. So they just start to make in towards Idaho, and also the Trans Alliance also started to move towards Nebraska with a much bigger push than that of the Pacific Alliance, and also made a bit of a push into Wyoming and cut off Wyoming, and the Trans Alliance army met the Pacific Alliance army, but they literally cut off the Southern Green Alliance from the Northern Green Alliance. So basically, this is now very easy to invade. So now the Pacific Alliance was able to just swiftly move more as the supply lines has been cut, and soon takes over Idaho, and also starts Wyoming, and also counterattacks with the Trans Alliance army, and the Greater Alliance also had some interest over here, and so they also started a movement in here. Looks like everybody's hating the Green Alliance, but why? I wonder. So the Texas Army, or the Great Alliance Army, has met the Pacific Alliance, and the Pacific Alliance replied to this horribly and started just to push back the Texas Army, and also towards NM, and soon takes over and also connects with one of the. And it looks like the Pacific Alliance is really thick, while the Trans Alliance starts to go down towards Nebraska and just takes it off and starts towards KS and Oklahoma, and soon takes over. Almost all the last bit is going to be taken, and the Greater Alliance just takes down the last of Oklahoma, and the Trans Alliance will just take out this much of land, and the Pacific Alliance will just also take down this much. So Green Alliance has failed. So basically now all of the Green Alliance is literally just right here. Now the Pacific Alliance, the Atlantic Alliance just sent down their fleet towards this NU state, and just made a landing right here with the help of Florida's navy, and soon just starts to just take over New York, and they were able to successfully take down New York, one of the most busiest spot, and they were able to meet up with the NJ army, I think. So basically now New York is dead. So basically I think almost all of these guys are dead except for a few. So to counterattack, the Eastern Alliance just starts to just also take down and just start a push towards Washington DC, and you do not realize till you see how close Washington DC is, and it's literally the capital. And if anyone captures it, they will have like a bonus, like they will have a bonus like point of having a bit more military. So they start and just cut off, and soon enough they just surrounded Washington DC and just took it. So basically now they have a advantage point because they have captured, so they will have a higher success rate of just trying to win. But who knows, maybe again the Eastern Alliance can come. So the Florida army is coming to counter attack, but it will just take a lot of time. They are right now in GA, I think George, I don't know which state is this, but they are right now in GA, so it's a long way. So in the meantime, these guys are just starting to just take over, and soon enough, like they have just taken over these guys and also started towards DE and just take it over very easily. D, MD, and all these states, and just took down every single state. Now the Florida army has just ordered to march more fast, so they are just now around right here, just around southern VA. So it will just take a bit of time still. So they are still going down, just consuming the Eastern Alliance. And soon enough, Florida army finally reaches and starts the biggest counteract till now in this civil war. They just simply do not have any mercy and just start take what's maybe rightfully theirs, not theirs. Who knows? And soon enough they'll have Washington DC, and they just start a push here and just cut off, and now these states are very these southern states are very in danger. So the Florida army, and it's also too easy to just attack them, so they just come and take over LA and meet up with the Greater Alliance army, and just simply just start to just attack down all of these. And also it's very easy to invade the northern countries since not a lot of farmland I think is there. So basically they're running low on supplies, and also they just will now, if New York is captured, pretty much the Eastern Alliance is pretty much dead. So they capture it. So basically now pretty much the Eastern Alliance is dead, and soon enough they capture. So now the Eastern Alliance and the Atlantic Alliance and the Pacific Alliance are literally one of the has high amounts of land. So basically now only around 4 alliances remain. So we'll see who wins. So Florida, who is basically the head of the Atlantic Alliance, ordered to march towards the Greater Alliance and take down Ohio, and also the Florida army and the Atlantic army somewhat defied the orders and they just need land so that they can win. So they just simply just take down Michigan, and just while the Greater Alliance is really much in trouble since the Californians and the Arizona army are starting to come towards Texas now, and same towards the Trans Alliance, who are also starting to just move down towards the Greater Alliance real quick. So if Texas falls, basically the Greater Alliance falls, because Texas is literally the source. And while I was talking that actually the Trans Alliance just cut off Texas from the rest of the states, so basically these states are so much in danger. So, and just soon enough the Florida were like, why did they cut? And they just simply just took down very very easily, while also the Trans Alliance just also made a move, and soon enough just captured it all. So Texas is the only remaining Greater Alliance, but they can't fight without their allies, so they are basically just being taken down. And the least amount of share is going towards the Trans Alliance, and the most amount of shares is basically going towards the the Pacific Alliance. and basically now Florida has captured most of the Texas population, because Texas lives, almost all of Texas population lives right here. So yeah, they just take down. Now Florida is having a lot of land, and also the army of the Pacific Alliance counterattacks and cuts off the Trans-Alliance from ever getting into Texas, and just starts a great push into Texas. And now it is the Texas again, the Pacific Alliance that has a lot of a lot of land. So basically now only 3 alliances remain. One second, I just need to just take this. Yeah, now only 3 alliances remain. So we'll see who wins. The Florida Army, the Atlantic Army just ordered to march towards the Great Trans Alliance, since they know it's just very weak. While also the Pacific Alliance also ordered the army to march towards, but they are not focusing that much on the army. They are now Californians and other states who are like on the ocean, who have some navy, has made a landing in Hawaii and start to just take over Hawaii. And also they also made like a landing right here into Alaska with a much bigger push, because literally almost nobody lives in Alaska. I mean, there are people living in Alaska, but their military is not very good, though it is a strategic point for USA. So they basically just take over this island of Hawaii. They also start to just take down one more populated island, and soon enough only 2 islands remain, and Hawaii literally just surrenders, because there is no use of fighting. So Hawaii surrender. So now the Pacific Alliance has Hawaii, and they are starting to move towards Alaska. And soon enough they just reach the main point of Alaska and just start taking over. And also the Navy has just freshly just taken down these islands, and they have created naval bases so that they can just again access. So with time going on, they were just still attacking, and it will still take some time, while the Pacific Alliance is just getting more and more land from the Trans Alliance, because they are really weak. So as time passes, finally the Navy base has been built, and now there's nothing that can stop stop the Pacific Alliance from ever just stop. So they just simply just start to just take down these random islands off the coast of Alaska, and they are just simply just dying, while the other one, who is making even a much bigger push, is just taking down and just wants to meet up. So the army has been meet up, and soon they have made a powerful push and just cut off Alaska, which they just take this part very easily. And also this is also very easy to claim, so they just simply just take over. And basically Alaska will not still surrender for no reason. But after almost all of Alaska is captured, with only just only this wild island remaining, just Alaska surrenders, and basically now all of Alaska belongs to the Pacific Alliance. So basically now the Trans Alliance is in real danger. Now the Pacific Alliance is now starting to focus on the Trans Alliance, and just starts to just take down the northern parts, reaching down these. And they also just simply started just do a little bit of trolling, and started just take down Michigan, and they just did this, and they were actually pretty successful, since a lot of army has been dead right now, and they are now sending some new army. So basically now Florida has governments lost access towards here, so they just simply just start take over. But it looks like now the one with the most army is the Atlantic Alliance, since they haven't done much of a fighting. They have done fighting, but not that much. So basically they will be able to do. California is the only one who can reproduce this, So it will just take some time to reproduce. So in the meantime, from reproducing, the East Atlantic Alliance just starts to just take over, and also starts a push towards Michigan, and soon enough they just capture it, and also they just started even a massive push, and soon enough they captured all of Texas and also some of the states. Now all of the army that has been produced, recruited, are still going towards here, but it's just not enough for the Florida just has a lot more army than that of the Pacific Alliance, just because the Pacific Alliance had did a lot of wars and all. So basically now basically they have just captured the armies. They are now just made an army just to march towards the northern place and just captured down WA, and soon enough they captured WA, and now this is a real threat. Now California has now focused its army just to go towards the northern place and again liberate WA, so they just did that. But the thing is that it won't just make a lot of difference, since the Pacific, like the Atlantic Alliance, is like raging towards California, and about 100 regiments from the Atlantic Alliance, most of them by Florida, the second most is by New York. So basically they have touched California and also took over Arizona, and basically a push has been made where Los Angeles is captured. San Francisco, the Battle of San Francisco happens, where they just encircle San Francisco and extending it so that the Californian army cannot just come right here. And soon enough the Battle of San Francisco has been ended with the Atlantic Alliance's victory, and now there's nothing literally just to stop them, because that's the most two populous cities. So they just cut off Nevada and also towards Utah, and simply take over these two states. And also California is on the verge of collapse, so they simply thought, why not just take California and just reduce our troubles. So they basically took over, and they literally also forgot that the Pacific Alliance is still living right there. So it will just take about a few months for them to realize it's there. So they just started ravaging down. Soon enough they just captured almost all of mainland USA, and soon enough they have captured all of mainland USA. Now now you might be thinking that now the war is over, because literally now Florida, the Atlantic Alliance just literally took over all of mainland USA. But you have forgot about one thing: Alaska and Hawaii. So after a few months, they thought that they have won, but literally they just found out that still the Pacific Alliance is just right around here. So they just made a landing, and just starts to just do the massacre that the Pacific Alliance just once did towards the Transcontinental Alliance. And soon enough they just captured all of it, and also just made a bigger push. It's bigger than that of how much the Pacific Alliance has done, and just starts to ravage down Alaska, and also take over these islands. And they reuse these naval bases as for them to just even make a greater push. And also they have just taken over these guys, and soon enough they have just ravaged down, and only just around 1-2% of Alaska is remaining, and that too is also consumed by the Atlantic Alliance. So looking at a peace treaty, the Atlantic Alliance will now gain control of all of USA mainland. So basically now Atlantic Alliance is the winner of this war. So bye guys.